sunlight filtered through the windows, casting a warm glow over an otherwise peaceful morning. For him, life had been predictable, mundane even. But everything changed when his father made an announcement over breakfast, his voice casual, yet filled with weight. "I'm remarrying," he had said, almost too easily, as if it were an ordinary update on the weather. And just like that, the word family took on a whole new meaning. His new stepsisters were moving in immediately. The idea felt surreal, even uncomfortable. How was he supposed to adjust to strangers suddenly becoming family? The door creaked open, revealing two girls who couldn't have been more different. The older one stepped forward confidently, her crimson hair shimmering like a warning light. Her gaze carried an intensity that felt out of place in a casual introduction. The younger sister, however, stood hesitantly behind her, peeking out with a soft nervousness. Her shyness seemed genuine, almost disarming, but there was something about the way she lingered in her sister's shadow. Their smiles were polite, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that there was something they weren't telling him. The first few days passed without incident, though the air in the house felt heavy with unspoken tension. Late one night, as he walked down the hall for a glass of water, he heard their voices through a barely cracked door. "He doesn't know," the older sister murmured, her tone calm but firm. "Do you think we're safe here?" the younger one replied, her voice trembling slightly. The words sent a chill down his spine. Who didn't know what? And why would safety even be a concern in a quiet household like theirs? The turning point came unexpectedly. One evening he walked into the living room only to find the two sisters standing opposite each other, their expressions serious. The atmosphere felt charged, like the calm before a storm. Before he could ask what was happening, the older sister turned to him, her eyes piercing. "We need to talk," she said, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. And in that moment, the world he thought he knew crumbled. They weren't ordinary girls. They were tied to something much larger, much darker, and somehow he was a part of it too. Listening around him, he heard the quick, constant sounds of exercise equipment being moved and the clang of metal on glass. The elder sister explained it bluntly. "We're here to protect you," she said. "But that comes with risks." "Protect me from what?" he asked, his voice wavering. She hesitated, glancing at her younger sister. "From forces that would destroy everything." It sounded like something out of a fantasy novel, but the gravity in her tone left no room for doubt. They were hiding from enemies, and he was caught in the middle of a conflict he couldn't begin to understand. Despite their revelations, they refused to give him all the details. "It's safer for you not to know everything," the older sister had said. "What's safer for you?" Prue said, "because you don't understand." "Some people never do," the younger sister had said. But how could he trust them when they were keeping secrets? Every interaction became laced with tension. The younger sister in particular seemed torn, her usual shyness replaced by moments of vulnerability. One night she approached him, her eyes downcast. "I didn't want this for you," she whispered, "but now that you're involved, we have no choice but to keep you close." Her words carried a weight that lingered long after she left the room. The illusion of peace shattered one night when the house was attacked. Shadows slithered through the cracks, like living nightmares, their presence suffocating and hostile. The sisters moved into action immediately, their calm exteriors replaced with fierce determination. The older sister stood in front of him, her stance protective. "Stay behind me," she commanded, her voice leaving no room for argument. Energy crackled around her as she fought off the invaders with a precision that seemed almost supernatural. The younger sister, though visibly frightened, stood her ground, her trembling hands revealing hidden strength. He could only watch, frozen in disbelief. When the dust settled, he finally confronted them. "What's going on?" he demanded. "What are you not telling me?" The older sister sighed, her exhaustion evident. "There's too much at stake. If we tell you everything, you'll be a target." "Isn't that already the case?" he shot back, his frustration bubbling over. The younger sister stepped forward, her eyes filled with guilt. "We didn't want to involve you, but you're part of this now, whether you like it or not." Her words left him reeling. Did he really have a choice in any of this? The days that followed were tense, every moment tinged with uncertainty. The sisters began training him in basic self-defense, insisting it was for his own safety. Yet he couldn't help but feel like a pawn in a game he didn't understand. The younger sister in particular seemed conflicted, often stealing glances at him when she thought he wasn't looking. It was as if she wanted to say something but couldn't bring herself to do it. What was she hiding, and why did it feel like the truth was just out of reach? As the sun rose on another day, the three of them stood together, their bond fragile but unbroken. He had always thought family was supposed to be simple, a source of comfort and stability. But now, he realized it could also mean standing together against the unknown. The battle wasn't over. In fact, it felt like it was only just beginning. But for better or worse, they were in this together. And as he looked at his new stepsisters, he couldn't help but wonder, was this the family he had always needed, or would they be his downfall?